Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's video is an in-depth comparison between the Chanel 255 and the Chanel Classic Flap. I've done the individual review for both of the bags, and I've added the links to those videos in the description section below and at the end of this video if you're interested. In this video, I will start with a bit of history, then I'll go through the similarities and differences and the size comparison between the two. At the end of the video, I will also share with you my own humble thought on these two iconic handbags from Chanel. This video again is time-stamped, so you can skip or jump ahead by clicking on the timeline in the description section to save time. So without further ado, let's get right into it. This is the large Chanel 255 in the black. The name 255 came from the month and year of its release because it was released by Coco Chanel in February 1955. This is Coco Chanel's one of most revolutionary creations because it was the first shoulder-carried handbag in the world to free up women's hands. Coco Chanel also designed the first pair of pants to free up a women's body. Remember, in the olden days, women tend to faint from time to time. That wasn't a pretense because they had to wear this tightly fitted corset with the long dress or skirt. Any event that triggered exertion would make them become short of breath, which led to oxygen starvation to make them faint. This is the picture of the first pair of pants Coco created. Another of her revolutionary creations was the little black dress. Coco Chanel was the original designer for the famous little black dress, which she debuted in 1926, and it still remains as a wardrobe staple for many modern women these days. This was the illustration of the first little black dress. All of these design ideas from Coco Chanel were intended to free up a woman's body and mind, so I think we have a lot to thank her for. Please leave a comment below if you agree with me. Now let's get to the Classic Flap. This is the Classic Flap in the medium size. The color is called the beige clear, which is the lighter beige. The Classic Flap was released by Karl Lagerfeld in 1984 after he became the creative director of Chanel at a time when Chanel fashion house was in deep trouble. Quoting Lagerfeld's own words from this book, Chanel was old hat. It was only Parisian doctors' wives still wearing it. Nobody wanted it. It was hopeless. Those are his exact words. Of course, the legendary Lagerfeld turned the fashion house around with his modern, fresh take on the designs of its ready-to-wear and the Chanel 255, of course. This Classic Flap was Karl Lagerfeld's modern take on the original 255. That's why there are so many similarities between the two bags. I chose the lighter color Classic Flap to provide a color contrast to the black 255 for this video. Hope that works. Let's compare the two bags side by side. Firstly, let's look at the similarities between the two. From the exterior, both have the diamond quilted pattern, which is the Chanel's signature pattern. Both have the Mona Lisa back pocket, which Coco Chanel used to store her loose change for tipping. Now let's look at the interior of the bag. The 255, the double flap structure, and same as the Classic Flap. And they both have the secret compartment, which Coco Chanel used to stash her secret love letter. This is the same front flap pocket, and then there are two back pockets and the little pocket in the middle, that's for Coco Chanel's lipstick. And same as the Classic Flap, exactly the same structure. So the internal structure and organization of the two bags are exactly the same. The burgundy color, which was the color of the uniform Coco Chanel had to wear at the convent, only comes with the interior of the black bag. I have talked about the stories behind each features of the Chanel 255 in my previous Chanel 255 video. Please feel free to check it out. Now let's look at the differences. As you can see, the first difference is the turn lock. The 255 has this original Mademoiselle turn lock, which was designed by Coco Chanel in 1955. It's called a Mademoiselle lock because Coco Chanel was never married. Now let's have a look at the classic flap. It has the CC turn lock, which was designed by Karl Lagerfeld in 1984. The second difference between the two is the strap. The 255 has the all metal chain strap, and the classic flap has the metal and leather interwoven chain. And the 255 strap is longer, as you can see, yeah? Which makes it possible for most people to wear it crossbody. While with the classic flap, look, how awkward. The third difference is the appearance. The 255 is normally made with this aged calf skin with the wrinkled appearance, while the classic flap is normally made with either this caviar or the lambskin with a more plushed look. The final difference is that you can fold the 255 completely flat for travel, but you can't do that with the classic flap. Now let's look at the size difference between the two. I have put together a picture comparison for you. I always like the pictures, so I guess I'm more of a visual person. As you can see, the size of the 255 and the classic flap are in between each other. It starts with the small 255, which is a similar size to the mini rectangular classic flap. Chanel call it 224. Next is the small classic flap. Then is the medium 255. Chanel call it 225. Now we move on to the medium classic flap, which is the beige classic flap we have here. Next size up is the large 255, which is the black 255 we have here. Chanel call it 226. Then it continues to the large classic flap all the way to the maxi classic flap. I've done the what fits inside for both of the bags in the previous videos. Please feel free to check it out if you're interested. Here comes my humble thought. Although the 255 and the classic flap are very similar in design and style, it's the subtle touches that make all the differences. With the same design to the 255, Karl Lagerfeld stayed true to Coco Chanel's legacy. At the same time, he added his own touch to the fashion brand by introducing the CC turn lock, the metal and leather interwoven chain, and the more modern and plush look of the exterior for the classic flap. I believe it's the modernized look which made the classic flap more popular than the 255 when it comes to demand. And of course, the CC logo would most definitely have helped the classic flap to skyrocket its popularity because it's one of the most recognized logos of all time. When deciding between the two, there are a few things to take into consideration. If you are the kind of person with the love for all things original, then the 255 is the bag for you. Also, the 255 is more discreet and understated because there's no obvious logos on the bag. I also prefer the silhouette and the look of the leather on the 255. It just looks more mature and relaxed. Well, I belong to the older generations, as you can tell. Although both of the bags can be dressed up and down, I think the 255 is just slightly more casual. And finally, the perfect chain length and the light weight of the 255 are what sold me in the first place. And the fact that it can be folded flat for travel is just an added bonus. There you go, I've given my verdict. Although the classic flap is the more popular of the two, I prefer the 255 for its history, look, and the chain length. Having said that, I also understand why more people prefer the classic flap, because it just looked more modern and sleek comparing to the 255. Please let me know what your preference is in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. So that's the end of this comparison video. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you for watching.